Welcome to a special episode of School of Sharks Swim with the Sharks, guys. Today we're going to get together with Robert Ybarra, one of our very own Sharks, and we're going to get to know with him. But I want to welcome everyone to a very special episode. And for those of you who may not be familiar, my name is Dan Diaz. I am your host and co-founder of School of Sharks. What is School of Sharks? Well, School of Sharks is a community that is being put together on the premise that quality real estate education should not be expensive. It should not be out of the reach of most individuals. We also believe that regardless of experience or education, there is no one person that holds the monopoly on answers or solutions. So for that reason, we bring together quality educators, experienced real estate investors that want to share their experiences, their deals, their knowledge with the group, and all for your benefit. Now, how can you benefit from School of Sharks? Very simple. Engage in the community, ask questions. If you find value in the group, please share the group with those around you and your personal walls. And don't be afraid to tag School of Sharks. That would mean the world to me. For example, this very presentation, if you like what you see and if you find value, please share it on your personal walls. Now, with that in mind, let's go ahead and introduce Robert Ybarra. Who is Robert Ybarra? He's one of our Sharks. He's a dear friend of mine, as myself. He started in real estate investing career back in 2018. Now, the way he puts it, and I just want to go ahead and read directly by his words, he was on a path of searching financial freedom, and he found it through real estate investing. His journey, although short, has been full of lessons that have allowed him to scale to a rapid rate to financial freedom. He loves sharing his knowledge with others in hopes of aspiring to change lives, leading by example of what is possible when you have the right mindset and you're on a course of success. His motto is simple: KISS, K-I-S-S. Keep it super simple. Real estate is in fact simple. Help your fellow investors succeed, and they will ensure that you succeed as well. In his words, my relationships have and always will be the secret to my success. And in his words, he cannot wait to share the success with others. What are some of the things that we're going to learn about Robert today? He's going to be sharing with us some of his biggest strengths, challenging weaknesses, accomplishments, what he enjoys most. Maybe we can get him to share a memorable deal or two that he's recently had. He'll be sharing words of wisdom and practical advice with those who are recently starting. So with all that in mind, let's go ahead and bring Mr. Robert Ybarra. It's an absolute pleasure having you. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, brother. How are you doing?
Oh, man, doing fantastic, fantastic. Now, honored that you're here. Before we begin to the Q&A, I want to remind our audience that we are using a system called StreamYard. So if you want your comments to be known, you do have to let StreamYard have permission. And as you comment, what we'd love to hear is where you're from and what is your focus when it comes to real estate. And as you guys start commenting, we'll go ahead and bring them along. But let's go ahead and start, Robert. Thank you so much for being here. The first question that I've got for you is, what do you think is your biggest strength as a business owner and investor?
My biggest strength, brother, is relationships. I am big on relationships because without relationships, you're not going to get anywhere fast at all. And then, you know, the ability to adapt and evolve. You know, when I came into this business, I was 27 years out of the automotive business, knowing how to remarket vehicles and whatnot. And coming into real estate, I had no clue. I stopped cold turkey from one business and came into another and just dumbed my way through and built relationships that were instrumental in helping me. And just by asking questions to people that were willing to help me, you know, and that's been my secret, of just relationships with you and other people that I've met.
Yeah, relationships is definitely key. So that would definitely be something that I would share with someone who's starting out is, how many people are you connecting on a weekly basis? You know, who's your network? Who can you call up and they're going to answer the phone? I tell you guys, Robert calls me, I answer the phone. You know, I know it's going to be a quality conversation for sure. What would you say is one of your most challenging weaknesses? This is where you get to open up.
The ability to delegate. I am horrible at delegating. Man, I have, I don't know, it's just a fear of letting go and not just finding somebody. And it's, I always say I can't find anybody, and that's not true. It's just the fact that I'm not actively searching for that one person that can help me scale my business to where I need to. And I'm working on that daily, because that's the one thing I'm horrible at. I really am.
So I know we didn't prepare for this, but now that you mentioned that that's something that you're working daily, what are some of the things, if you don't mind sharing, that's helping you with the delegation aspect?
What helps me with the delegating? I use my servicers. So, you know, when I purchase a property, I'm relying heavily on my relationships that I've built with other investors, with wholesalers that know my criteria. My criteria is very simple. But then once I do acquire a property, you know, the relationship that I built with my private lenders, I know, you know, what I need to present to them to make it go smooth through title. But, you know, using my relationships with my wholesalers, my lenders, and then of course once I acquire a property, servicing it with servicing companies, RMLOs, residential mortgage loan originators, insurance. I sub all that out. You know, my delegating problem is my internal office. I hate paperwork. I hate office work. I don't like it at all. I'm great at it. My problem is that I'm too anal, and I'm OCD, and I'll sit there for hours on something that could take somebody else 5-10 minutes to do. And I need to figure out a way to get out of that. Find that one person that'll just say, Robert, you're missing this, and this. Go get it for me, and I'll do it. It's just that's my weakness.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I remember I read a book a while back, and I can't remember what it was, but it said that the many, and maybe you can relate to this, many entrepreneurs, they fall victim in thinking that nobody can do it as good as them. And the
Yeah.
sad truth is that it may be true. So when we hire, don't look for somebody who can replicate you 100%. Look for maybe 2 or 3 people that can do 60 or 70% of you. And then when you do that, the combination effort, you know, will result in the results. So if you're looking for another Robert, good luck with that, my friend. It's not going to happen.
No,
And if you find him, you probably won't be able to afford him. I'm going to go on a limb. I mean, that's just the way it is. I know I couldn't afford hiring myself.
No. And you know, you mentioned on something that's very, very important when you say afford them. The realtors that have come into my life, right? Because they're friends now. When they reached out to me, they found me through social media, Facebook, because I used to do all of my own marketing. I used to do marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, OfferUp, you name it. My houses were on there, and two realtors in particular reached out to me and said, "Hey, can we market your homes? And let us show you what we can do, and then we'll talk about money after the fact." And man, I mean, it's been 3 years in, and those are my go-to women. They are phenomenal. I do not market. I don't step on their toes. That's their opportunity to shine and make their money to support their families. And I'm beyond grateful for them, because without them, I mean, I'd have to be out on the street showing homes at, you know, weird hours of the night, and they handle all that, you know, for me. Now, they're very diligent about, you know, scheduling and whatnot. And yeah, I've learned how to let go of that. So they're a godsend to me.
Oh, perfect. I noticed something. I don't know if you said it on purpose or not, but I heard something that they led with the proposal of, let me show you value, and then we'll talk money later. Was that correct? Was that the way they led?
Yeah.
That's very important. When you're associating or deciding to associate with someone, I know you, Robert, and myself, and many other successful business owners, we start with, how can I help you? How can I bring value to you? And it's important to associate and bring into our circle people that have that same mentality. What can I do for you, Robert? I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, guys, real quick pause. If you guys are liking the value that you're seeing, do me a favor. like and share this on your personal walls and your real estate groups. We got tons more information for everyone. I'd love to hear a little bit about accomplishments. This is where Robert really, I know he's a humble guy, but let's talk and let's hear about some of your accomplishments that you're most proud of.
Okay, this is going to sound basic 101, and it's the typical answer is my family. But let me tell you why. Because I've been a serial entrepreneur since I was 19. I'm 50, right? So I have been through the seasoning and all the sauce, man. So, I mean, anything that could have gone wrong in my personal life has. And I credit my wife for putting up with me. We've been married 30 years now and I have 3 beautiful children. But, along the way, with little toddlers, being a serial entrepreneur, obviously I've been in real estate for 3 years. So I failed many, many, many times and gone broke 3 times to where, going to HEB or the grocery store was that was a big deal, and I put my wife through those things, but it groomed me and seasoned me for who I am now. I get it when I go to a home and it's a distressed seller because I've been in that position where I had to sell my home because I made stupid mistakes, but I could empathize with them, but I knew the solutions. I knew how to help them because I helped myself get out of those situations. And I wasn't even in real estate at the time, but being able to craft a deal that worked for them and not take advantage of them, man, now thinking back of it, when I used to do sub twos, that was my only strategy. When I went into a home, I knew the trigger points. I knew how, when somebody knocked on your door, that was not a welcome knock, when wife gets to knock and the wife doesn't realize how bad the situation is, and that helped me a lot. But that really is my biggest accomplishment because I'm proud of where I am now. I'm not ashamed of the failures that I had. I mean, shit, when I started in real estate, I mean, at 47 years old, reinventing yourself is not an easy task. It's not. And it's scary from a transactional business like vehicles. I mean, you buy a car, you get a title, you sell it, you get paid within 24, 48 hours. Learning patience in real estate was a big thing for me. It was the slow nickel. And I had to get used to that really, really quickly. But I learned that through time, being patient and just one deal at a time, and you put your head down and just grind through and make your monies off of the down payments and let your cash flow add up. And by the time you know it, in 1 year, you're financially free or halfway there. I had my freedom number, right? My freedom number was ridiculously low. Thank goodness I didn't have car payments, but I needed to make $2,500 a month, paying my insurance, my water bill, my electric bill, my house bill, and just I have 3 children, so I mean health insurance, covering that with $2,500. That was my freedom number, and that's what I shot for. And I got there really, really quickly. And then once I did that, I just kept stacking them. And there's a group, who we have. It's just sub 2 stackers is what I used to be a part of, right? But I mean, it was just stacking them because every $200, $300 was just a raise every month. And I just kept that mindset, and that's honestly that's my biggest accomplishment, man. Just overcoming all the failures and keeping my family together through it all and not getting divorced, because that conversation come
30
up
years.
when you come through, hard times like that and not being able to put food on the table. That's serious because what your spouse always wants, is that security and peace of mind that you're going to be able to provide. And man, there were times when I just didn't know what the hell I was going to do. And thank God for real estate, and thank God for at the time it was YouTube. And now that School of Sharks is here, man, I am 100% behind what you and Bhaskar are doing, because if it had been around when I started, man, I could have, just gone straight to one source. And not a plug that way to anybody watching. It's just, it is an invaluable asset that you need to use. And because I know the people that are involved with School of Sharks, you're going to get the truth. You're not going to get any fluff, and there is no upsell. I mean, it's just people that want to help, because me personally, I know what it's like to not have a clue and just go out and go to meetups like I did in the beginning and be asked every time, how much money do you have to invest? And I'd always put 0. I don't have any money. And the conversations would end within 5-10 minutes, and that was it. And they were looking for, investors, and they weren't looking to teach. But I received some really good feedback from those meetups, and I met some great investors that are still around that, are friends now, so. That's my
I
biggest.
tell people all the time, if you're waiting for the $50,000 mentorship upsell from School of Sharks, it's going to be a long wait because
Yeah.
that's just not what we do. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just not what it's about. I like it. I like it. Thank you for sharing. What do you say is the one thing you enjoy most about being a business owner, an investor, an entrepreneur? What do you think you enjoy the most?
Man, I enjoy teach. I love sharing. I love sharing and showing through my life what real estate did for me, and what real estate gave me was freedom of time and not having to worry about money anymore. I mean, on a personal note, and a lot of people don't know, but my office, I'm at home right now for the first time in 2 months, to do the interview with you. But every day for the last 2 months, I've been at a hospital for my brother, and he's been sick with COVID and many, many complications. And thank goodness he's still here with us. But if I did not have real estate and my cash flow to support me, I would not have been able to be there with him every day to, give authorizations for critical things that he needed,
Hmm.
on a daily basis. And God forbid something, were to have happened and I had a job and couldn't leave my job, or
Hmm.
just left and got fired, because I mean, that's what we want. And that's really why I got into real estate, was the what if something were to happen to me, what would happen to my family? And 3 years later, it didn't happen to me, it happened to my brother, but I'm able to be present for him. And really, that's all we really want, is time and freedom to be present for our families. When it comes down to it, that's what it's really all about. And thank goodness I'm able to do that. And right after the interview, I'll be there again, but I'm there because that's what we're supposed to do as human beings, to help each other out. It's that simple, but real estate gave me that. And brother, I am thankful every day that I made the decision to get into real estate 3 years ago, because not only did it change my life, it gave me the ability to do what I'm doing now. And I want to share that, so that God forbid it happens to somebody else, they'll have that freedom to do, what I'm able to do right now.
The power of creating your own economics is definitely there. Our prayers go out to you and your family, and whatever the result is, I hope that you guys are able to cope with the situation. And thank God, like you said, because of real estate, at least you have the freedom of time and the freedom of movement, and the freedom to be there to make some of those decisions that need to be done.
Yeah.
So, good job for that. Now, while we were preparing for this interview, I recall that you told me about one or two really nice, memorable deals that you learned quite a bit from. If it's okay, I don't know if you mind sharing that with the group. You want to go ahead and do that now?
Man, I have two of them that come to mind. And the reason they come to mind is because the deals were not transactional for me, even though I needed the money at the time. I did them to help, and I did not know these two individuals at all when I went into the deals. The first one was a 12-acre property. Great friend of mine, his name is Sal. He's actually a member of School of Sharks now.
Yeah.
He had 12 acres that he was trying to sell for a while, and off of 35 and 410. And I met him coincidentally buying a commercial stove for my daughter, who was making cheesecakes at the time. She's 10 now. And we hit it off. And I told him what I was doing, and he told me he was looking to sell his property. And long story short, ended up selling his 12 acres for a great amount of money. He got a chunk of money down. I'll share the numbers. We sold it for $680,000. Got him $200,000 down cash, and $3,000 a month for the next 25 years, which was a great cash flow for him. He pretty much retired out of that property. He and his wife went to run their resort in Chalk Bluff. Well, it's not Chalk Bluff, it's Country Boy Resorts right next to Chalk Bluff. And they were going to retire there and run their business. Now they're selling their resort and moving to Fredericksburg, Texas. While we did that deal, I did not ask for a dollar. I did it just as a friend, but because I love him now. He's like a brother to me. But I did that deal and did not expect anything, and he still gave me $5,000 just because
Hmm.
that's just the person that he is, and I did not expect it. And I'm proud to call him a friend. He's a real good friend that, you know, I don't ask anything of other than just his friendship. And he calls me every other day just to say hi and check in on me. And I do the same. And I know his family very well now, and he knows mine. And just the fact that a deal like that, helping somebody turn into a friendship, is more valuable than any dollar that I could have ever made.
Wow, I like that.
That's a great deal that, you know, I learned a lot from that deal. I learned how to structure a big deal like that. But
That's a big one.
Yeah. And I helped him out, you know, I helped my brother out, and now he's moving on to bigger and better things. I mean, he's very successful in his business, and he's more successful in his personal life. And I'm glad and honored to be a part of it. And that's
Very
one.
nice. I like it. I like it. I like that one. So he's now living in Fredericksburg?
He was living in Uvalde.
Okay.
So if you're familiar with Chalk Bluff, the river frontage, right next door is Country Boy Resorts, which is his property.
Gotcha.
And he is now selling to his competitor, and he's going to move to Floresville, Texas, and start what do you call it? You know, when we get rehabs, we have to put the dumpster out in front.
Yeah.
There you go. He's gonna start one of those companies. He's just an entrepreneur by heart, and he's just a great soul, and hopefully y'all all get to meet him. He's just an awesome guy. He and his wife work together daily, and yeah, awesome people.
Nice. Now you said you had a second story.
Yeah, the second one's pretty cool. That one, it was a property. Realtor reached out to me. It was a deal that they couldn't sell. They were trying to sell for like 165, and I met with the sellers, and because they knew me as the sub 2 guy, and I went thinking I was going to do a sub 2, but it was just too creative. It was just too funky of a deal. You know, it wasn't one that you could just kind of piece together on any kind of format. So we met, and I asked them what their goal was, and their goal was to buy 3 acres in the country. They just want a little casita, a little house. I said, okay, well, let me reach out to some people and see what I can find. So I found them 3 acres, 1604 and 37, with a house and a mobile home. They were both tear downs, but it was 3 acres, and that's what he was wanting. Yeah. So what we ended up doing was we deeded his house over to me just as collateral, just to protect me, because at the time I didn't know him at all, but I was very trusting. So I fronted all the money, which is in excess of $20,000. It was like $25,000 just in moving the new mobile home to his property, down payment on his land, you know, insurance, all that stuff. It added up. I fronted that money not knowing this man. He and his wife both live there now. I have security on the new home. The new home, I brought in a buyer with hardly little or no money down, so I didn't recoup any of my $20,000+ dollars. But what it did do was create cash flow that goes to him and his wife to pay their note on the 3 acres and their property. And most people say, well, why the hell did you do that? Why would you do that? You know, you created a note with them, but you're out $20,000+. Well, here's the flip side of it. They realized what I did for them, right? So we created the note on the free and clear house that pays their cash flow, but I am the note holder. So once it's seasoned, we'll cash out. I'll pay them a little bit more, and then I will get paid back. You know, and there's no quick, you know, profit to that deal.
Yeah.
That's a really, really cool deal that's confusing as all can be. And there's a payback in the end, but it might take, you know, 2-3 years just because it's that kind of a deal. You know, it's not a quick fix deal, but that deal is really cool. And they're great friends of mine now too. And actually they're looking for another home in San Antonio, you know, because they're going to use that, I say farmland. They're going to use the 3 acres just as a place to go when they want to get out of the city. Yeah. And I'm looking for a house in town. And, you know, of course I do sub 2s, or not sub 2s. I do owner finance. So I'm going to owner finance my home here, and we just keep the wheels turning.
Nice. That was really cool. Yeah. You know, two things stand out from both of those deals. One, none of those 2 deals sounded your typical vanilla reach out to desperate sellers, get it under contract, wholesale the contract. That is not what it sounded like. No, it sounded like an individual who looked at another individual and said, okay, what's the real situation? What's the problem? What are you trying to solve, and how can I help you get there? And I'd be willing to bet, that when you started the conversation with both of them, you probably didn't even know where things were going to end up.
No.
You didn't really even know the path. And that's really what a real estate investor is all about. It's like, look, let me analyze the deal. A lot of people come to me, and I'm sure they go to you too, and they're like, do you want to buy on 1604 and 281? I don't know. What am I buying? At what price? What's the risk? What's the liability? What's the capital injection? What's my return? Like, you haven't answered any questions. So I don't know. Do I want to buy a rock on the side of the road? Maybe. I don't know. I like rocks, but it's things are not black and white.
No.
Things progress. Things progress. Guys, this is absolute gold. If you guys like what you're hearing, I beg of you, do me a personal favor. Do a favor to Robert. Like and share this video on your personal wall. It is our goal at School of Sharks to be able to impact 100,000 lives in 1,000 days. And we can't do that without you guys. So if you like what you hear, if you like what you're seeing, please like and share. Now, we're not done. I know that we wanted to allocate a little bit of time for you to share your wisdom with individuals who are starting out. So if you can share words of wisdom with someone who is barely starting out, what would you say to them?
Don't be intimidated by perception. And what I mean by that is there's so much social media content out there from investors that is solid, very, very solid. But don't be intimidated to approach those investors. I'll share a personal story. When one of the groups here in town, HBHS, had a RIA. It wasn't a RIA, it was a meetup. It was like a lunch and learn. Mm-hmm. And I always made it a point to introduce myself. And I'm an introvert. I really, really am. But when I put on that suit or whatever you want to call it, I just make myself vulnerable, and I put myself in front of people, and I put myself in uncomfortable. I made myself comfortable being uncomfortable. And I remember one in particular RIA, it was yourself and an investor out of Houston named Rick. He's a big wholesaler. I can't remember his name. Anyways, I sat right between both of y'all. Didn't know you, but I saw your content, and I had a little bit of content, and the way I started the conversation was, what are you guys doing? And tell me about yourselves, and let everybody brag about themselves, which is great. And then I learned strategies, techniques. I learned how to speak to other investors. I learned the lingo because I didn't know anything, And I remember when feedback, and kudos to you, is you were gracious to give me time to be cool with me and say, yeah, that's cool. You don't have anything, this is how you do it. And this is the way it goes. And then here it is. Fast forward a couple of years later, we're doing an interview together. You know what I mean? But you didn't, and I've never experienced anybody being standoffish, especially, in our community. Everybody's willing to share and help and give words of wisdom. And I'm grateful to you for that. And you were that way. It was Rick Rosales and yourself. And I sat right between the two of you, and I'm thinking, I have no business being on this table, but I did. Good. I made a section for myself, right? I pulled up the chair and sat right between y'all, and I didn't fake it till I made it. I said, I don't have anything. I'm wanting to learn, and here we are now, right? So don't be intimidated, because once you get in, that perception of, oh, these guys are so bigger than, I learned that once you're in the water, you gain a different perspective. You realize where you stand amongst other investors. And then as you start to grow, you start to share and you start to help other people out. And then you just paying it forward is all you're really doing. That's all I want to do. Because at the end of the day, if I'm able to impact one person and they become so successful that they remember the day that they sat down with me and I was, willing to share with them, that's a big deal to me,
Yeah, I like that. I don't know if that phrase was originally yours, but I heard someone else, and I can't remember saying it, that said that on the ground, we can get intimidated by the tall people. But if you just jump in the water, we're all the same height. You don't know how tall anybody is.
Yeah, I never heard that. I like that. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And
No,
that's
because
what
the
he said. He
truth
goes,
is,
on the floor, you might get intimidated by people's height. You might see some people bigger than others. But if you just jump in the water, meaning you just start doing business, if you just start interacting, if you just start, doing, if you jump in the water, everyone's the same height. You won't know the difference.
and you get acclimated to the water because you don't know how cold or warm, you don't know. And that's, when I started, I remember reaching out to one particular broker, and just I kept asking him question after question after question, and he was gracious enough to meet with me. And I remember the one thing that he said to me that triggered me. We were at Jim's on 410 and Blanco. He said, Robert, that's great, but you need to put something on a contract. Until you do that and commit, nothing's going to happen. You can do all these mind deals all day long, but until you do it and put yourself where you need to perform and either look like a liar or you come through and fund the deal, you're never going to know. And man, I took those words to heart and actually bought a property from him, which is my first property, which is a 7-unit commercial apartment complex that I wish I never would have bought. But had I not bought it, I wouldn't have known, that I don't like apartment complexes and, deep, you know what I mean? But I bought something and then I had something to talk about, at the table. It was like, yeah, I own these cool apartments on Hot Wells, and people are thinking, oh, you bought that? You know what I mean? But I bought them. I took
Oh, the
action.
one on Hot Wells between the highway and New Braunfels?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was me.
You bought them from Raymond?
Yeah.
That's a small world.
So I bought them thinking, yeah, this is the coolest thing ever. And I went and knocked on the doors, introducing myself to all the tenants. And man, that was the worst thing I could have done because they told me everything that was wrong about them. And the investor that sold it to me told me everything that was great about them. And the tenants told me the truth. And, and I didn't have any money. They wanted me to fix everything. And I'm thinking, well, pay me rent and I can, hopefully afford to pay, the plumbing and all that stuff that was bad. But yeah, once I did that, hey, now I'm in the water. Now I know how it feels. I know that, I know not to go knock on doors right away, collect rent first. But I learned, I had to get in the water to learn.
Yeah.
Man,
what a small world. I remember looking at Raymond's apartment complex. It was about 4 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. And I'm not gonna lie, I got scared. I said, this isn't for me. The numbers worked. I mean, on paper, the numbers were there, but I'm like, oh man, Hot Wells, that's I don't know, that's a rough side of town. And I'm like, I'm not gonna go to their doors. And then I'm thinking they probably don't even have internet to pay online or anything.
No, they don't. It's all cash, and you have to go collect. And I can't tell you the number of screaming matches I got into. But if you walk where it's slippery, you're gonna fall, right? And I did. And man, I tell you, I learned so much. I learned that I did not want to put myself in those situations. Especially going at night and collecting money, cash money, and all the evictions. I mean, I was the evictor. I was the screamer guy. I mean, yeah, it was not fun. And coincidentally, I ended up owner financing that property to an investor out of California. And now,
that's funny. So you're holding a note on it now?
I have a note on it now. Yeah.
Nice.
So I learned that I didn't want to be the guy, but I wanted to be the bank, which I knew how to do with homes. So I ended up owner financing it to an investor that, wanted to own a commercial property in San Antonio. So, and who knows, maybe it'll go up in value and be worth a lot of money one day, and good for him. But I don't have to be there.
Hot Wells is rough.
It is rough. Yeah.
Oh man, very nice. Well, guys, like I mentioned earlier, if you find value in having guests like Robert, and thank you so much for being here, please like and share this video on your personal walls. Don't be afraid to tag School of Sharks, tag myself, tag Robert. If you're not connected on social media with either myself or Robert, please reach out, shake a hand, make a friend. Shaking hands, kissing babies, making friends is what this industry is absolutely about. Now, before we kind of wrap things up, I want to let you guys know that Robert has been gracious enough to commit to a little bit of your education during the next week. Now, specifically, what do I mean? During the next few days, he's going to be doing a few posts specifically geared to help you. Now, the reason I'm sharing that with you is I want you to be on the lookout. I want you to interact, like, share, comment, to give you a little bit of glimpse of what's going to be happening on Friday. He's going to be posting some homework for you guys, specifically 1 or 2 things that you can do over the weekend to really get your mindset straight and help you strengthen your family, your outlook, or your happiness. Saturday's post is going to be a story relating to a challenge or a lesson that he's recently learned and how you can overcome it. Sunday, I love Sunday because a lot of people think Sunday is all about football and games, and maybe for the normal folk is, but for us, Sunday is the day that we prep for the week. So what's going to happen on Sunday is going to share his perspective as to what you can do to jumpstart your week. Now, this is a little bit different. He's going to be challenging you guys, challenging all of us to do it. So in the comments, you're going to be able to accept that challenge, and you'll be able to see, how your week can get started. Monday is going to be about negotiations, tools, tips, tricks, and scripts. And he's going to be sharing a little bit with that. And Tuesday, he's going to be sharing some valuable information that'll help you boost your business overall. So guys, it's an absolute pleasure having you guys. Robert, I don't know if you have some farewell words that you'd like to share with the group.
Man, if for anybody that's just starting and getting into real estate, welcome. Reach out, please. I do get direct messages from people that are in the group, and I'm honored that they reach out to me. Sometimes I don't always have the answers, and that's a big thing, is to be humble enough to say I don't know, and don't be afraid to let people know that you just don't know, because if we all knew the answers, we wouldn't be on this forum, right? And be patient. Be patient. If you just do the right things, good things will happen. Keep yourself surrounded with the investors that are in this group, because they're all sharers, they're all givers, they're not takers. Because that's one thing that I do not like, is when it's a transactional relationship that somebody's looking for with me. I'm out. I'll do the deal. I'm not stupid. I'm in it to make money, but you're not going to build a relationship with me that's going to last for years. And I tell you, I have relationships that are lengthy, and they'll probably be with me till the day I'm gone. And I'm proud of that, and I'm grateful for those relationships, because I like seeing the growth. I see pictures from when we started out, 2-3 years ago, and I can honestly look at those investors in that photo and say, man, each one of those individuals is growing in their own right, and I'm honored to be associated with them, because they actually took action, and they inspire me daily when I see them. And just like yourself, I see what you're doing, and I'm inspired by it, because it does breed success. It does. But you just have to be willing to jump in the water, jump in and start swimming. And if you don't swim very well, we'll help you. We're like the little floaties that help you, because we want everybody to succeed. It's that simple, because the more you succeed, the more you're going to reciprocate it to each other. Yeah. So, if that's one thing, I can leave us just, and don't be cheap. If you're dealing with investors or with wholesalers, don't try to nickel and dime them. Don't try and nickel and dime your attorneys, your servicing company. If they're charging you a dollar amount that they can honestly ask for, and it's not ridiculous, pay it. Don't try to chinch on it, because everybody's trying to make a living, and you'll find yourself a restaurant of people that are going to charge you fair, but don't nickel and dime your other agents that are helping you succeed. And I go back to my realtors that help me. I love the fact that they make the money, that I don't have to go out and show the homes and things. Same way with the wholesale investors that I deal with. I do not care what they make, as long as I can buy the house right. A lot of times they'll hide the assignment fee, and I don't like that. I'd rather them just tell me, hey, I'm making $15,000-$20,000. Great.
And then you can be happy for them, right?
I'm happy for you. You stole that house. I didn't have to go find it, because that's the thing that I don't like, is if I start doing what they're doing, now I'm infringing on their ability to make a living. I'd rather them go do the work, so I don't have to, I'm lazy. I don't want to do that. I'm 50. I don't want to go knocking on doors and having to kiss babies like you're saying. I'd rather them do it and pay them handsomely. I don't have a problem with that, because that's what keeps the wheels turning, keeps the wheels greased, right? And I'm so appreciative of all the relationships that I have that way. So I wish everybody success. I'm looking forward to growing with each and every one of you, because I'm not done. I don't know where I'm going to be this time next year. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but I know, I have certain goals that I'm trying to hit. Building the owner finance, portfolio that I have, and just trying to impact as many families as I can with home ownership, because that's a shortage in our country right now, because it's very hard to get a loan or a mortgage. And, owner financing is going to be a key to helping people realize that dream, right? Because most people, that's all they want is one home, right? We're thinking multiple homes for cash flow, but the majority of people are trained to buy a home. That's the American dream. And I love helping them, but I really, really love educating people on what they can do if they learn how to buy multiple homes and create cash flow to help them, be financially free. And that's what I really, really look forward to with School of Sharks.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Robert, for pouring on to all of us. Thank you so much for sharing. And guys, if you like what you see here, please like and share. It is our goal to showcase one shark, if possible, on a very, very regular basis. So stay tuned so that we can learn from more. Remember, alone we may go fast. Together we can go far, but united we can go faster, farther, which is always the goal. Thank you so much, Robert. You guys have a great one. Take care. Thank you.